Vice was directed by Adam McKay and stars Christian Bale, Sam Rockwell, Amy Adams and Steve Carell to name a few. The film is about the political career and rise to power of former Vice President Dick Cheney, detailing his political story from a nobody to one of the most powerful men in American history. Hi guys, welcome back to Surferz. Just me and James here today. Don't worry, Ed will be back shortly. Just for the review of Vice that we're going to be doing. Ed hasn't seen the film whereas I have, so it's going to be my first solo review with you guys. I'll apologise in advance now if it comes out terrible. Running off my own propeller, never done it before. It'll be interesting, let's give it a go. So, just to get started then, overall, what did I think of the film? It's a difficult question for me to answer almost that, because I want to say yes, I did enjoy it, which isn't a lie. But then again, at the same time, I do have a lot of negative comments to make about it. I'll start with what I particularly liked about it. Main thing here is the acting. Performances were really good. Christian Bale really embodies Dick Cheney in the film extremely well. I'm not sure if it's as good as what people have made out. One of our friends has talked repeatedly about how good a performance they think Christian Bale puts on. I don't want to take away from it. It is a really good performance and I can see why it's getting the attention that it's getting. But for me personally, I don't think it's anything that stood out this year. Looking at something like Green Book, I think the performances in that were a lot stronger. That being said, Sam Rockwell's character in the film, while not in it very often, I did think was amazing. He plays George W. Bush in the movie, and it is literally scary how well he does in regards to portraying that character on the screen. One of the really strong points I actually thought about the film was the editing. Editing was done really well. I don't know if you've ever seen an Adam McKay film before. The one that jumped to mind for me is The Big Short. You can tell by watching this, if you've seen The Big Short, that it's the same director. Editing style is exactly the same. Thought it worked really well in that movie and I think it works really well in this one. And I also really like the score. Something that kind of goes underrated in a lot of films, especially one like this, but I thought the score was done really well. I thought that it really added to the characterization of the film, and it really helped put the messages across that they were trying to portray on screen. It's kind of one of those films that I would say is going to split people 50-50. I went to see this with a friend, he absolutely hated it. And I think that depends on how you look at the film. So for him, he looked at it as a black and white outlook at politics. How it's a very heavy hating Republican film. Like a heavy hating film about Republicans, I mean. And very one-sided towards supporting the Democratic outlook in America. I personally didn't see it in that way. I saw it more as a character piece about Dick Cheney himself. While I don't really know much about the guy in general, I thought it was a really interesting take on him as a character to portray on the screen. And so I don't know how much of it's true. I'm sure there's people out there that are watching this that are going to know it much better than me. But if it was true to him as an individual in any way, I thought it was done really well. It would really put across emotions on the screen for a character-driven piece, which is, in my opinion, what it should be looking to do. There are, however, in my opinion, a lot of issues with the film. The first one that will hit home is that if you don't know anything about American politics, this is going to be a really difficult film to watch. I don't really know anything about American politics, so there's a lot of it that I didn't understand. It's the kind of the same issue I had with The Big Short, which is what he made. If you didn't really know anything about the financial crisis that the housing market crashing caused, and the recession that it led to, it was a really difficult film to understand in a lot of ways. Don't get me wrong, the film does try and explain parts to you, but it requires, in my opinion, a lot of extra knowledge about the topic. And I felt that really showed in my friend group in regards to the people which liked it and the people which didn't think much of the film. It probably quite nicely summed up the interest that those people have and how it would reflect their opinion on this topic. The other issue I kind of had with it as well, as it shows Dick Cheney's character progressing throughout the film and the position that he moves into, I didn't really have an understanding of when he would change position in the government or he'd move into private sectors as his job titles. I didn't really understand what the relevance of it was. I don't know how American government works, what position's powerful, how he's levering or manoeuvring himself to move up the ladder. You know, the whole purpose of the Dick Cheney story is, as I'm sure most people know, him trying to make himself a more powerful person to get to the top seat in America, which is the presidency. And that was kind of lost on me a lot throughout the film, because I have no clue about American politics or the positions, so I can't really relate to how fast he's moving or how quickly he's doing it. The other really big issue I had with the film as well was probably the runtime of it. I think it clocks in at something like 2 hours 15 minutes. I literally felt like I was in the cinema for about 3 hours. I don't think it's particularly well paced, and I think it probably goes on for about 30 minutes longer than what it needs to. Now, that might just be, as I said, because of my lack of understanding of the content, but to me it felt as if it was shoehorning in parts of it which weren't really relevant. One of the big things throughout the film is the narration character. I won't give any spoilers as to regards to who the narrator is or their purpose of the film. All I'll say is if you do go see it, you might feel the same as what me and my friend thought, is that it was kind of redundant and unneeded, and it didn't really add much to the film or have the impact to me that I think it should have done. One of my friends as well also pointed out that the comedy aspect of it doesn't always really work, and it's quite hit and miss in regards to whether or not you'd find it funny, because some of it is quite poorly timed. And I do agree with that. I think sometimes it's kind of jarring and takes you a little bit out of the moment. And I'm worried in today's big films that that's something which is starting to show up quite regularly as more companies try and shoehorn this humour in. So overall, I thought there was a lot of good aspects to the film. However, I thought that probably the bad outweighed the good. Therefore, what I'll be looking to give this film as a rating is an illegal download. Wouldn't say it's good enough to see in the cinema, and I definitely would not be purchasing it. But for anybody out there that's very politically minded or very interested in politics, particularly in America, this is probably going to be a film that I'd imagine that you'd love. Thank you very much for your time, guys. As I said, this has been James. If you can like, subscribe and hit the bell icon, and I look forward to reading your comments in the comment section down below. Thank you very much, guys.